So you have your bar mitzvahs coming up soon, right? And
Yeah.
I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the options for what we can do to celebrate once we're at the party itself. And the way I want to do is I want to tell you about some of the options and kind of how we run the schedule, and then you can ask me any questions or stop me at any point. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. So typically what happens at a bar mitzvah these days is everybody comes in. Let's say we're going to do a party from 7 till 11. And usually we do a 3 hour party if it's, say, the parents say, here's just 30 boys and pizza and ice cream. That's more like a 3 hour party. Once we have adults at the party, it goes more like 4 hours because the adults want to come and talk. They want to take the opportunity that they drove all that way to get to see each other and spend time together, right? So it would usually go from 6 till 10 or 6:30 till 10:30 or 7 till um, or 7 till 11. So about 4 hours, right? And your party's going to have kids and adults.
Yeah.
Great. So what happens throughout the evening is you kind of, people use the metaphor of like you're wearing different hats or you're playing different roles, but partly you're the guest of honor and you're also the host. So what does it mean that you're the host? That means that people are coming to celebrate you. That means you're the guest of honor, and you're the host means when people come, you have to greet them. Basically, you have to greet everybody who comes, whether it's your friends from school or from a chug or sniff or whatever, however you know the boys your age, or it's aunts or uncles or your parents' friends. Everybody's going to want to shake your hand. You ready for that?
Yeah, but what if it's girls?
So then, if it's like an aunt or something, they're not, not necessarily going to shake your hand. They might come and look you in the eye and say, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov. They might get really close to your face and say, Mazal Tov. You don't know. Okay? So,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
so mostly that's what's happening in, let's say, the first hour of the bar mitzvah, right? People are coming in and they're greeting you. If it was just a party with just you and your friends, so we wouldn't need so much of the time like that. Now, I like to tell the parents that they should have some kind of food for the people to eat. So maybe they'll have some soup or some like walk around food they call hors d'oeuvres, like appetizers. Not appetizers, just the food that they can eat with their fingers. So that's depending on your parents, but I'll work that out with your parents what the schedule is. Do you know, are you guys going to have a magnet photographer?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, so that between greeting your guests and your parents' guests
It's taking photos and stuff, right?
and being photographed, what'd you say?
It's taking photos and stuff, right?
Yeah, and taking photos with them. That's kind of like what you do during the Kabbalat Panim hour, right? During the receiving the guests hour. Then we get into, again, I'll work on the schedule with your parents, but I'll tell you what typically happens. What typically happens then is if the food is like a buffet that we're just going to have one course, then we'll like to get in some dancing before that. Sometimes people do parties and they do like also like a first course, like fish or something, and then another main course. But ignore that for now. I think what you want to do to get onto the dance floor is kind of have a transition, have a way to let everybody know we're going to start dancing soon. And so the way I like to do that is I make an announcement, so I give people a warning, and then we like to do, if you want, something we call a grand entrance. So if the boys are willing to, I tell them line up into two lines, right? And get on one knee and just start clapping their hands. And you kind of walk between the two lines. Some places we're allowed to do fireworks, and then you could, after you walk between those two lines, you come and stand between your parents or two special people to you, and they hold fireworks, and you guys smile at the camera. The fireworks go down, and that's what we call the grand entrance.
Uh,
So if that sounds corny to you, so you have to go with your gut because everybody's different. Some people go, wow, that's exactly what I want. I want all the attention on me and I want people to like really, be giving me positive vibes and positive attention. So I'm just going to tell you what the options are and you get to choose from what the options are. So that's option one. That's called a grand entrance and it's a fun way to transition to the dance floor. Another way is I could just make the announcement. I can say, hey, everybody, it's time to come join our bar mitzvah boy on the dance floor. and then just expect everybody to go. And I'll make the music a little bit louder at that point.
I think.
Right. So you could do the fireworks just with the picture. You don't have to make the kids line up. It's just a fun. Like I said, some kids love that kind of stuff, and some kids are, that's not for me. So you got to know. And at the end of the conversation, you'll make your decisions, and then we'll kind of have a plan to go into the bar mitzvah with that plan. So that's one option. If we do begin the dancing without it, then that's fine. We could potentially do the fireworks without the kids lining up. Some people, I'll just tell you now how far some people really like the attention on them. People who just like love it. There's a song that we get everybody singing. Let's say the bar mitzvah boy's name is Ploni Almoni. So everybody, we get them singing Ploni Almoni, and kamocha ba'olam. Ploni Almoni, ohavim otcha kulam. Some kids love to have all that attention on them. So you just have to know yourself, and you can let me know. So let's go on to the next thing. So after we have a first dance round, the first dance round is about 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on how much you like to dance. So how much do you like to dance? You know yourself. Tell me, how much do you like to dance? Okay, great. So yeah, on average, people dance about half an hour. And what happens in that first dance round, it always changes. It depends on kind of what mood are people in, or if people have like their teacher from school, their Rav, or their Mechanech, or other people if they're like in a sneef of Bnei Akiva or some other youth group, and if Madrichim are coming, or if the boys in the class have already been to a lot of bar mitzvahs and they learn different things to do on the dance floor from older boys, or they've gone to older boys' bar mitzvah parties and they've already learned a lot of things. So if there's all those... Okay, so if you're the second to last bar mitzvah in the grade, then there's a good chance, but it's not for sure, that the boys already probably know a few set dances like Baruch HaGever. Okay, so they might know Bubble It. They might know Cotton Eye Joe. Okay, so I'll tell you what I do is... Right, so if you're confused about any of the dances and you want me to send you a tutorial, I'll send you a tutorial that'll break... That's okay. Yeah, I can send you a tutorial that can break it down for you, and you can practice at home, or you don't have to, and you can just have a good time. Another thing I can do is if I see that their boys need a little help, or some boys need help, I can step away from my desk, and I can, I'll be able to see from the party what they need. If they need a little bit of help showing things, or I can slow down the music so people who are still kind of are getting it, get into it. Okay, but those kinds of dances, like the Cotton Eye Joe and the Bubble It, we usually do those in a later round.
Yeah.
In the first round of dancing, what do we usually do? Yeah, so what we usually do is...
And then the bar mitzvah boy, the cousins or something, just dance.
Right, circle. We call it the circle round. It doesn't have to be in a circle. Sometimes we'll break off and they'll do the train where somebody puts their arms on the back of shoulders and the other person puts their arms on the back of that person's shoulder, and they go around like that. We also do this line where people get into 2 lines and walk back and forth to the center, or 4 lines and they walk back and forth, and that can be really fun. So sometimes I'll jump in. If people know more advanced stuff, they'll put the bar mitzvah boy in a chair, lift him up carefully, make sure it's carefully.
Yeah, they do that.
And you have to make sure to let them know if you want that or not. And then sometimes they'll put their feet into the legs of the chair and make a star and spin them, or they'll bring the bar mitzvah boy some water and fan him and do all kinds of push-ups and stuff in front of him.
Only the second one.
They do that by the second one. So I'm not going to be too controlling if it happens the first or the second round. And then if there are any surprise guests, now it's really nice if you've got your Abba there, or a Saba, or an uncle, that you dance in the center of the first circle with him, and then circles around you, and then people can come in and switch. Some people will probably want to dance with you one-on-one or in a little circle, and we'll make circles and circles around circles. So that's usually what happens in the first round, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about we said we can do the line dancing as long as your parents are fine with all those songs, and in the second round or third round. Oh, what are songs for line dancing? There's a lot of songs that have set patterns for them. We said Bubble It and Cotton Eye Joe. There's one called Zibbin Zibbin. There's one called Latinos. Yeah, there's something called a coffin dance that some kids in Beit Shemesh do, where they lift up the bar mitzvah boy to a certain song.
You shouldn't have
Okay, so you'd make sure to tell them that, and if you don't want them to do that. Other line dances, right? Again, I'm going to say it again. If they start picking you up on a chair or to lay down and pick you up as they're lifting you up and you don't want it, then you tell them, I don't want this. Because the song doesn't say pick up the boy and do this. It's just some instrumental music.
I would prefer not having that song.
Okay, great. So let me know after this. You take notes now and let me know. I prefer not having this, or I prefer save all your notes for the end, and then you'll tell me. Okay, so the second round, that's when I usually will bring out a giant jump rope, and with that we'll either have like one kid go in at a time, or two go in at a time, or do groups at jump rope. And with that same jump rope, we can make a limbo stick where kids have to kind of go under the stick. You know that one? And yeah, so we can do that. We can do all kinds of dance floor games, like imitate the person with a prop. So if I have like a giant Hawaiian necklace and I say, whoever's wearing this, everybody follow his footsteps. So I can do that. I can be the first one to go, and then I can pass it to somebody else, and they get to be the person everybody imitates for a few minutes. Great. Yeah, I mix all these things up. Sometimes kids don't need any assistance. Sometimes it helps them. The giant jump rope can also be used for a game called Hanachash Ba. You know that game?
Oh, when you spin it around like a circle?
Yeah. So that's another fun thing that we can do in the second dance round. Now the third dance round, there are a few different options. Some people really want to sing at their own bar mitzvah, so they ask me to give them a microphone and they want to sing a karaoke song. So you got to know if that's something you want. Usually at bat mitzvahs, the girls love to put on music and everybody screams the words and one person gets the microphone. At bar mitzvah, it's more rare that we do full karaoke, but some people want to do some people bring an organ or a guitar and they want to do a performance. So let me know if you have anything special in your plans that you want to do a performance of your own. Okay, you'll let me know that.
My dog.
Be what?
Bring my dog.
Bring your dog? Yeah, might scare some people. But some people really, they want to perform something. If you're going to juggle your dog, that might be something. Or a magic show or whatever.
Which is like 30 kilos.
No, not a 30-kilo dog. Okay, so now we get into other options that are more frequently done at bar mitzvahs. Like I said, there's different dance floor games. Kids sometimes ask me, can we do musical chairs? Can we do Hamelech Hamar, like lightning speed Hamelech Hamar, Simon says. And then sometimes they ask for it. And then sometimes I can put a projection on a screen and do like dancing figures. Like there's a game called Just Dance where you just do whatever's on the screen.
Kids would crush it.
They love that. Okay.
There's like maybe 3 kids that would do amazing.
So it could be the 3 kids are going to do amazing. The rest will laugh at them. My experience is every time I put Just Dance or there's a guy named DJ Raffi and he teaches some dances also on YouTube. Then if I put on videos of people dancing, people love to do those impersonations, and so that's another option. And I'll give you another option. Another option is it's a game show. So it's a game show that's like 20 questions about you, and we can do it in Hebrew. You want a game show? Great. So I'll send you.
I've already answered the questions.
Oh, you guys already answered the questions? Great. So if you know that's what you want, then the only question to answer then is, do you want to be the one to read the questions to your friends? Or do you want to be the person to call out? You can't play it because you already know the answers, right?
I guess I'll read out the questions, yeah.
Great, so you could read out the questions. So what you do is you read out the questions and the 4 different options, and then you call on somebody and people can raise their hands. And if they answer correct, you say in the microphone, you are correct, right? And I'll give a sound effect. So the question is, does it have buttons? So we don't use buzzers now. We used to use buzzers, but the boys all broke them. So we don't use, and then we also don't do Kahoot very much because it means everybody has to have a phone and there's subscriptions and you have to set up a lot of stuff, and sometimes you don't have internet connection. So we do a really fun one with just sound effects. I'll tell you one more really fun thing for the game show is that if you guys bring Oreos, We can do a game that's not just a game answering questions, but a fun like minute to win it game. And we can bring up, let's say, 4 contestants. Each one of them puts an Oreo on their forehead, and without using their hands, they have to kind of like move the Oreo into their mouth. It's really funny. And if you guys bring Oreos, we can break up the game show questions so it's more than just question and answer, and also some action to it.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, you could do that. You could say another way to do it instead of calling on one person at a time is you could say whoever thinks it's A, raise your hand. Whoever thinks it's B, raise your hand. And then you could say, if you said A, you are absolutely correct. And then I can put on like applause or different kinds of sound effects like that.
So
So if you want to do Just Dance and the game show, we have to look at. We could definitely do some. We would just
no,
do.
it has to be like 20 dances. It could be like 3 dances from Just Dance.
Yeah. We could do that. We could.
Like 3 dances, they're probably gonna say.
Yeah, that's another option to mix those two. We could do like 3 dances from Just Dance, and some game show questions and mix it up. And the way that we do that is usually we'll do that after dessert. So while dessert is happening, that's when I set up the slideshow. If you guys are going to do a slideshow, I set up the projector. And then while people are eating dessert, they finish dessert and they get to do that last thing, the Just Dance and
No,
the game show.
usually most of them are.
So I'll tell you why. Yeah, it would be right before the 3rd dance. So I'll tell you why I set it up during dessert. Because when I put the projector out, it takes time, right? It takes time, and I have to set out all the right cables, and I have to make sure the kids aren't tripping over the cables. So that's why when I do it after dessert. It's a very thought out thing. And then we won't necessarily have a 3rd dance. We'll have to see, because if you want to have these other activities, like the game show and the Just Dance, so we won't necessarily have time for a 3rd dance round. I'll tell you one more option. Which is sometimes people want a kumsitz, right? So that's everybody sits in a circle and sings songs together. So you got to consider if that's something you want. Okay, great. So I think I've covered all the different options and kind of things you can expect. I should really want to impress upon you again that you should know that you get to decide. In other words, if there's something, people are lifting you up on a chair and you don't like it, you don't feel safe, so you just tell them. Other than that, if you have specific songs that you want, so I want you to send me you can send me over WhatsApp the YouTube link. Do you know how to do that? You share if you find the video on YouTube and you. Oh, I can do any song. I can't tell you right now which songs I'll play because I have to see. Well, how do I do the song selection? I'll tell you. I try to make it as Keatsby and lively as possible, right? So if I see that it's like mostly just kids and not a lot of adults who are going to come to the dance floor, so I'll make it more Keatsby. And if I see that it's a lot of adults and they really want something more traditional so they'll feel comfortable, then I put something more like, let me give you 2 examples, right? There's a song, Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, that's kind of in between, I'd say. And a song like, Ma'apecha Shel Simcha, right? That's like more Keatsby. That's more Keatsby. I'd do that more likely if there were more kids on the dance floor. And if I saw mostly just adults coming to the dance floor, I might do something more like Ashrei mi shegadol b'Torah ve'amalo b'Torah. So I'd play that for a while to give the adults a sense. What I usually do is I change it up so everybody feels like they have a chance to come to the dance floor and something they're comfortable with.
Yeah, but also make sure my mom approves it.
Okay, well make sure your mom approves them. It would just be with male dancers. It would probably be it's the final countdown. That one has things that have 2 players in them are really fun.
Some songs I didn't like, that's all.
Okay, so we'll check with your parents about the songs. And yeah, if you want to do that. Oh, think about doing that Oreo game. It's so much fun. Okay? It's so simple.
The professor's going to be Surrey.
Oh, are Oreos halavi?
Well, American ones are.
Oh, okay.
Israeli ones are.
Okay. Israelis are not? Israelis are parv?
Yeah, because of the. I don't
Okay.
know why.
So anyways, if we want, we could do that. Okay, good. And then yeah, sometimes I bring costumes to liven up the pictures, and kids like getting in the costumes. Sometimes I bring costumes. sometimes I bring different stuff. I find different things to like keep the bar mitzvahs fresh. All right. I'll tell you about two more things that might be a surprise that I may or may not bring. One is a giant inflatable ball that you can go in and roll around in. Nobody's ever thrown up. I'm not promising I'll bring that.
Fun.
Okay.
Just
If there's a makren in the hall, that's great because then we don't have to have cables on the floor. And the other thing that I might bring is a giant inflatable chassid doll or nanach doll. It's like 3 meters tall. And that's really fun for the bar mitzvah boy just to be in pictures with. Okay? If I bring that out. So I might bring some surprises. I'm not promising. I think we're in good shape. I think there's one more thing that I want to talk about, which is when we make the schedule, if we don't want things to drag on, right? So if we're going to do a zimun for Birkat Hamazon, it's really important to know like who's going to lead the zimun, if it's going to be you or if you're going to have Mariv and you're going to lead Mariv, so that we can say, okay, we're doing Mariv and I give you the microphone or whoever is doing the zimun. And
I'm not gonna use Darius.
okay, if you're going to do a zimun, I'll tell you one more thing. Also, if you're going to do zimun, just be ready. Remember to eat bread and to be ready. Practice the zimun beforehand because maybe you've never done a zimun before and you want to know what to say. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the other thing is your speech. Yeah, your speech. When you're holding the microphone, if you're going to give a speech, you have to hold it close to your mouth and speak in a regular voice. Because if I'm going to turn it up, and never point the microphone at the speaker, because then you know what it does. If you point a microphone at a speaker, it makes a really high-pitched sound called feedback. So we don't want that. Some microphones I have an on-off switch. Some of them have a button for a long press. But so just be ready to give your speech. Talk. Try to read it a few times beforehand and talk to the people that are there. If your Abba is going to give a speech, or your Ima is going to give a speech, or your dad or your mom, your father or your mother, however you call them, or
I don't know.
grandpa, grandma, saba, savta, anybody's going to give a speech, it's good for you to stand next to them while they're giving a speech, especially like if they're speaking to you. Are you going to do a siyum?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're planning to do a siyum, that's another thing to think about. Be ready with the kaddish. And usually we like to put the siyum right before dancing. So you'll go right from the siyum into a dance round. Okay. And then people will probably want to shake your hands, and we just want to keep them going right into dancing. So don't shake hands too long after the siyum. We'll get people to dance with you. Okay, great. I'll talk to your mom about the schedule, and I think we covered our bases, and I'll talk to her about the song also, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. And that is that. Great. So this has been a recording of me being on a conversation with a bar mitzvah boy. Could have been a bat mitzvah girl. And this is a typical conversation with all the explanations to all the parts. So now that you've seen this video, you can kind of have more information about what sounds like fun to you. And I have videos on YouTube of all these different parts of the bar mitzvah. And I think that's pretty much everything you need to know. Once you do have a sense of what these options are and knowing yourself, do you like to dance? Do you want to have more dance leading? Is this one of the first bar bat mitzvahs in the class and you're going to want more instruction? Or do you kind of want dance leaders to stay off the dance floor as long as it's going well? These are important things for you to know, and once you know these things, when we talk, you can let us know, and we'll build the schedule based on those things that you said.